Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Boy oh boy, am I excited to bring this one for you today. The time has come again for the MX Bikes community to rejoice in which I believe is the best custom, at least Supercross tracks that we have in the entirety of the game. Aiden is back for more DDC Supercross, however, it is now under the name of NSP rather than DDC, which stands for 96 Productions, which is Aiden's motocross number, and he just thought he should move away from something that translates to daddy daycare if he wants it to be seen as a bit more professional, which I don't mind at all. Still same track creator, still same vibes. However, this time it's not strictly Supercross. This is more of an SMX-y vibe. Now, the only reason we're using the term SMX is because every single track that you are going to get through these 12 rounds of Supercross go outside the stadium. So you can see from the rider footage right here, we're outside, we then go back into the stadium and out again. So it's not in not SMX in a motocrossy sense, it's just SMX because it purely is not inside the stadium the entire time. The track you are seeing right now is a pre-season round, which we're classing as maybe round 0, maybe round 1, we'll see what he titles it on the shop. This is at the Accor Stadium in Sydney, Australia. I will list off the other rounds that we're going to have this year because we go all over the globe, so some people that are maybe not from the US, like we had a lot of US stadiums last season, you might see your hometown or home country in this series. We have a round at Wembley Stadium in the UK, we've got one in Las Vegas, we've got the Rogers Centre in Toronto, we've got State Farm Stadium in Glendale, we have got the AK Bars Arena in Kazan, Russia. We have then got Marlins Park in Miami, Arena Manie Garrincha for the Brazilians. I apologise if I butchered that pronunciation. We have then got the Poznan Stadium in Poland, the FedEx Field in Washington, the Juventus Stadium in Italy, and then finally to round us off, we head off to Portugal at the Estadio da Luz. So, 12 very exciting rounds of racing here, and again every single round does go outside the stadium, which means longer lap times. An average lap time around this track that you're looking at right now, I think top quality is probably going to get down to like 23s, something ridiculous like that. I'm not sure what cut-offs are going to be, however it's worth mentioning there is no region lock on this series. The reason is there is no regions, there is one series and that is it. EU and NA are going to be going at it for one class. It's going to be a 450 class and a 250 class to the best of my knowledge, so choose whichever class you want to do. However, EU and NA are going to be going head to head, basically. There's no guesswork this time. And if that didn't make things competitive enough, we're also not having 30-man gates this season. We are going back to the OG 22 gates. There was mixed feedback last season on the 30-man gates because it required us to have a double lineup because of track widths and limitations. So Aiden's gone back to a 22-man gate system this year, so we've just got the one lineup of bikes. What that does mean is the start is wider overall than it would be for a double lineup, so floor space in some stadiums is a little bit more limited. So what he has done is he has changed his scaling. The scaling is a little bit smaller than it has been on previous DDC tracks, however is still wider than in real life. So have no worries if you don't like your one-to-one scaling. I think Aiden said that a real-life Supercross track is about 20 feet wide from like tough block to tough block, and this one here is about 25 feet, so still scaled up from real life, but a little bit more technical, just to slow things down a little bit so you're not quadding into every rhythm, for example, and then also to make them lap times a little bit longer as well. A little bit more, I guess, information before this season starts. Aiden has sent me literally his entire life story. I kid you not, he sent me about a 500-word essay in all the information to do with this. He says, in the making of this series, he has scrapped 6 tracks entirely. 2 of them were fully finished with objects. One of them was an industrial park going in and out of warehouses, which I'll actually pop up on the screen for you right now, because he did send me a screenshot of that. However, he's a bit of a perfectionist. If something doesn't feel 100% right, then he'll basically just get rid of it and start again, which I love. I love that there's been a lot of time, care and effort that have gone into these tracks. And he tested average lap times now as something like 30-ish miles an hour, or average speed, sorry, around these tracks. And comparing that to the old DDC tracks, you'd say people would average around 32, so a little bit slower, all in all. A little bit more down here. Like you said, he wanted to make the rhythms make sense, so on a 450, for example, if you don't get a corner absolutely perfect and you end up doubling in rather than tripling in, on usual replica tracks, you're kind of stuck doubling the whole section. That's not the case here. If you do get a section a little bit wrong, you do then have the power on the 450 to be able to get on the throttle, try and stretch it out, and then triple again after that, which I'm a big fan of. I like the recovery aspect and not one tiny mistake, meaning you have to roll an entire rhythm section afterwards. He said for the racing, he wanted to just commit to having one really good pro class instead of like 4 different classes overall. He even said himself, like, on the NA side of things this year in aerial, he was running top 10 sometimes on a Suzuki with basically a booth setup, which he said just shouldn't be the case. So like myself, I mean, I'm not a fan of region lock for biased personal reasons, because I like being able to do as many series as possible. He's not a fan of region lock because it seems to, I guess, fizzle out a lot of the competition. It splits it a lot. So he's just saying, you know what, everybody in one group, go at it, have a good time. It's worth mentioning that this first round here, the pre-season round, is free to get a taster. It's on the donation basis, essentially. So I think it defaults you to something like 50 cents if you want to. You can change that to 0 cents if you can't afford it. Or if you've got a couple of extra dollars laying around in your NSP shop wallet there and you feel like Aiden deserves it, then you can send him a little bit as well. However, after this pre-season round, every round will be $2. However, there is also a season pass for $20, so it basically gives you one of the tracks for free, which is going to release around Wednesday, he said. There could be a day or so wiggle room there. Usually the shop might have delays from time to time, but that's how this is going to go. All of the races are going to be on Tuesdays, so hopefully the day that you're watching this video. In Eastern time, that's US Eastern time, the track is going to drop, I believe, at 4 PM. The qualifying will then be at 4:30 PM, and he did send me a full-on schedule if I pull this up. So, yes, so about 4:30. Heat 1's going to be about 5 EST, Heat 2 about 5:20 EST. We've then got LCQs at about 5:40 EST, and then we've got the main event after the LCQs at about 6 EST, all in all. The top 40 go through the qualifying to make it to the night show, which you have 30 minutes worth of qualifying there. We then have the top 9 out of both the heat races, and the heat races will be 7 minutes plus 1 lap. You've then got the top 4 from the LCQ, which is 6 minutes plus 1 lap, and then you've then got the main event, which is 20 minutes plus 1 lap. So everybody going head to head, that is going to be a very, very stacked main event, and I am super excited that I'm going to have the chance to commentate it. And I thought I'd put the lap time down, which might be able to get me in qualifying. So this lap that you're seeing in the background is the best lap that I ran on the track. It took me 36 attempts, which was a combination of learning the track once I downloaded it, recording a little bit as well, and then a couple of hot lap attempts also. And I believe I finish off somewhere in the 24s. And this isn't a clean lap. I get most of the lines okay. However, the last rhythm section before the whoops, before the finish line, I completely botch. I get it all kinds of wrong. So hopefully I have explained enough information throughout this. Again, I got a lot of information prior to this all starting. I think Aiden has done a great job. Like, this has gone pretty much under the radar. He doesn't share much until he's 100% happy and confident with it all. But I'm excited. I'm going to be happy to actually sit in the booth again and commentate. I had great fun doing that during the GP season. Hopefully you guys can come along and have a good time as well. And I repeat, the whole night is starting at 4 PM Eastern. If you want to convert that to your time zone, feel free so you don't miss out on it. But thank you very much, Aiden, for giving me the opportunity to hop in the booth as well. Thank you for giving the community another fun series to get, basically, just to really get stuck into during the outdoor season. I don't think I'm the only person that's kind of falling out of love with it again, just a little bit. And there's the rhythm section that you saw messed up. I was about a second ahead, so maybe low 24s. I think the top boys will get into the 23s, maybe 22s, we'll see. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy the racing.